Recently, I played through Wolfenstein... Which one is this again? 2? Didn't I already play a second one? Yeah, I know, it was a prequel. They still renamed the first Star Wars Episode 4 after the prequels. Wouldn't that make this Wolfenstein 3? I still stand by the fact that this series' naming conventions are insane. The following is a completely accurate summary of the campaign. Trust me. If you enjoy the video and hate Nazis, don't forget to like and subscribe. The game begins with a 3-minute recap of the important events of the last game, which is an underrated feature that every game sequel really should be doing just in case you didn't play the first one or need to catch back up. Then we cut to where the first game left off, with us bleeding out by a window, except we're picked up by our friends instead of nuking the compound, which... isn't that a retcon? Didn't we see them flying away at the end of the last game and we gave the green light that everyone was out of the blast radius? Yeah, whatever. Then we're sent to our childhood in flashback hell and have to make a choice of super porridge, which transitions to the choice between Whiny and Piss Boy from the first game again, so I decide to be consistent with the timeline we chose in the first game and go with Piss Boy. We wake back up in the real world just in time to watch the nuke go off to destroy Wrinkled Nutsack's house, and then flash back into flashback hell where we're assaulted by a low poly dog and shown an engagement ring, which will show up again later. We'll get to that. And then we get to watch surgery in first person, which I definitely wanted to see, thanks game, and go to more flashbacks where the game goes into overdrive to make sure we know the dad is a piece of shit, which includes racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, abuse, and worst of all, he's not subscribed to Iliasso. Wait, is that really my priority here? We come out of the closet and start throwing shit at him, but he grabs us easily because we're like 10, and fade back to current day where Ellen DeGeneres and Sound of Music comfort us, but we're sent back to flashback hell, where we're tied up and forced to shoot our dog, but I purposefully miss because I'm not a goddamn maniac, and also I'm really good at missing shots anyways. We're finally freed from flashback hell where we wake up skinny and weak, which is ridiculous. You're telling me that we can survive a 14-year coma and wake up with all our muscles, but 6 months of recovery after getting exploded point blank by a grenade is where we actually start to lose our muscle mass? The submarine's being invaded by Nazis, so we hop into a wheelchair and borrow a gun so we can kill all the Nazis because they're so pathetic they can get annihilated by a guy in a wheelchair. We meet up with Larry David, who's created a Nazi toaster that makes them explode, and he fills us in that Frau Ugly caught up to us, so we head to the bridge to catch up with everyone else. And then I find out that the game doesn't have toggle aim, so I'm giving it a 0 out of 10. We're jumped by a Nazi and almost strangled to unconsciousness, but Sound of Music saves us, and we press E to tell her we're okay. Okay. We catch up with Bomberman and Max Haas just in time to watch Ellen DeGeneres and Piss Boy get captured by Frau Ugly. And we're introduced to formerly Rebel Wilson, who gets fat-shamed by her mother, which makes sense. Nazis judging someone based on their appearance, you know, like a racist. Not that it's racism in this particular instance, but it's a slippery slope, and the Nazis built a water slide on that slope. Frau Ugly at everyone's that she's willing to spare the lives of the crew if we give ourselves up, so we agree so that we can get taken into her ship and find a way to get our sub unhooked. Ellen DeGeneres is forced out of her super soldier armor, and Frau Ugly taunts us a bit before attempting to chop Ellen's head off. But she's interrupted by formerly Rebel Wilson, so she fat-shames her some more and tries to force her to do the decapitation. But she can't, and we find out it's because she's not a filthy fucking Nazi and actually has empathy and maybe some gay feelings. Frau Ugly chops off Ellen DeGeneres' head, which is something that everyone who worked for her in real life wanted to do to her, and she prepares to chop off Piss Boy's head, but formerly Rebel Wilson stops her and she only cuts off his arm. And we take the opportunity to put on the super suit and watch the super soldier really phone it in on killing Piss Boy. Formerly Rebel Wilson begs to help us and points us in the right direction to release our submarine, so we kill our way towards the control console and get a little lost. We release the clamps and destroy the console and kill a Nazi for the dubstep gun, which we use to draw a penis because it's obligatory. Oh, I almost forgot. Can't not do that. We grab Ellen DeGeneres' headless corpse and head back to our submarine where we watch Piss Boy get a robot arm attached while he refuses any pain meds, which is always such a ridiculous cliche to me whenever it shows up in media. The whole reason they give you pain meds in the first place is so you don't die of shock on the operating table. This ain't some tough guy shit, it's just stupid. Sound of Music calls out depth charges, and then Piss Boy immediately asks what's happening because he's clearly not paying attention. Turns out there's still Nazis inside the boat in a secret section that have been transmitting our position, so we take our laser cutter gun from the first game to hunt them down and find out that it's actually slightly worse because I can't draw a penis with it anymore. Lame. After struggling to move around for a bit, we kill all the Nazis and make our way back to everyone for Ellen DeGeneres' funeral. We head to Larry David to get a wellness check and get jump scared by Chekhov, a cat's head transplanted into a monkey's body, which is how I imagine all the commenters that defended Nazis in the last 2 Wolfenstein videos look. After shooting some cardboard Nazis, which are coincidentally also what I imagine all the Nazi defenders look like, we go get Fergus to prep for landing in New York, but find out that his robot arm actually has a mind of its own and wants to kill him, kinda like how my own brain wants to kill me after I stay up till 4 AM watching bad procedural dramas. Turns out there's a resistance group hiding at the top of the Empire State Building because it's safe from radiation way high up, which is a fact I'm not really sure about, but if I make a joke about it, then people are going to miss the fact that it's a joke and flock to the comments section and tell me I'm wrong. Yes, I'm talking about you, every single person who felt the need to correct me about decompression in the New Order video. What do you think the trust me at the beginning of the video means? Next you're going to tell me like I'm getting the characters' names wrong. Oh, come on. The cops are here for me. I don't know if that came through on Discord, but there was some sirens
we heard.
outside.
Yeah,
I heard.
outside
Yeah, right after you said it. Why are they here for you, anyways?
Committed crimes against calling Dying Light an okay game.
Hello, good sir.
That was good.
Wrong way.
This is the wrong way?
Yep.
Okay, I get it, Wolfenstein. Your game's very pretty. Now where the fuck am I going? Oh, god damn it.
A lot less cars in the street nowadays.
Yeah, very Crisis 3.
Yeah.
This is what the r/fuck cars future looks like to them. This is Metro, right? We're playing Metro?
Pretty much.
The downside of carrying this is I feel like I'm gonna throw up. Thanks for the ammo, nerds. We take a train but accidentally accelerate it too much because we're not a certified conductor and end up ejected from the front of the train because we weren't wearing our seatbelts, so now it's time for more of the same thing we were just doing, getting lost. How do I get up there? Is there like a ladder somewhere I don't see? Hang on, Nazi, I'm scratching my leg. Oops. Son of a bitch. I have to drop this, don't I? It's Wolfenstein trying to jump into the helicopter all over again. We climb a ladder in an elevator and meet up with a resistance that we have a brief disagreement with, so we make up by having passionate gay sex with a balding middle-aged man and listen to Seer recount the events of Order 66 until we're interrupted by Nazis, so we kill them all and evacuate in the helicopters. Let's find out if I can make the jump. Ah! I cannot. Yeah, I knew that time. Seer tells us that she's got a plan to take out the Nazis and retreated to our first poop joke of the game, of which there are many for some reason. Not only are they not funny, they interrupt serious scenes a few times. Why are they here? When I do it, I'm intentionally ruining any semblance of tone. Why would you do that on purpose? After farting around a bit, we collect a spaghetti thermos and deliver it to Larry David, who tells us to visit Seer, and we're interrupted by Sound of Music, who's sad because we've been avoiding her, so we admit that we're dying, which is very touching, but it's immediately ruined by another poop joke. See what I mean? This shit ain't funny. Yes, that was a poop joke. Sound of Music tells us that we're stinky from running around for a while in a supersuit, which is much more believable than Cortana telling Chief that he smells fine after drifting through space for 6 months. But we don't want to take it off because we only need to shower once we can really smell ourselves, it's fine. If you heard that and think I'm reaffirming your choices, go take a fucking shower and stop going to anime conventions. We make sure the helicopter is fat and sassy and watch Pissboy and Seer have a dick measuring contest, but the results are inconclusive. So she fills us in on a plan where it turns out that Area 51 is actually part of the Jewish Illuminati that the Nazis took over, so we're headed to blow it up with our spaghetti thermos. Somehow we're able to hide the giant pole sticking out of our arms underneath this fireman jacket, and we wander around and listen to random conversations like these KKK members being dumb fucks, which means they're actually in the top percentage of intelligence for racists. Then we hop into Papa Joe's All-American Diner to meet up with Poop Jokes guy, but we're interrupted by a dumbass who's obsessed with milkshakes, but his milkshake will bring all the boys to the yard and we don't want that. So Poop Jokes guy revokes the Nazis' head privileges and we close the diner down, which totally isn't suspicious at all that a diner advertised as being open 24/7 is closed in the middle of the day. Poop Jokes guy checks to make sure that we're not an alien lizard, but does so really poorly, so like, we could totally still be an alien lizard, but alright. We head downstairs to listen to Poop Jokes guy rant about aliens, and he's actually kinda right about most of the details. We head through a tunnel into a Nazi compound because whoever made this tunnel was never noticed, despite it being pretty obvious, and we kill everyone to take a train to the next area with absolutely no problems whatsoever.
Ha, train go burr.
Oh! Gun! It's fully auto, so it feels really good to use. Continue to line up in the hallway for me. Thank you. Oh, I was about to ask, did the robot growl? No, it was a dog.
Honk.
Okay, that didn't work.
I wonder if you can just bum rush it, like without killing anyone, just run up and interact with it. Yeah. Okay.
Ah.
All right.
Level over. We plant our spaghetti into a nuclear reactor to get it to a nice temperature and escape the base on a monowheel that we borrow from soon-to-be burnt toast man. We ignite our spaghetti. Oh, it was explosives. And decide to take a detour to our old family home to visit Flashback Hell and pick up that engagement ring from the beginning of the game. After visiting Flashback Hell a few more times, we collect the ring and get interrupted by dear old dad, who insults us for a while until we revoke his hand privileges, but it turns out he snitched on us to Frau Ugly, who decides to steal the entire goddamn house because that's a safer idea than taking me on directly. After releasing the house, we get hit in the head by a piece of wood that's falling faster than us, even though that's not how terminal velocity works, and we die. But then there's more. We wake up in the wreckage of our house and get captured by Nazis who strip us to our undies because they're nasty perverts, and Frau Ugly steals the engagement ring from us and knocks us out. Then Poop Joke's guy catches up to us in a holding cell acting as our lawyer and tells us that they've got a plan to rescue us, but it turns out the Nazis knew it was a ruse from the beginning and they shoot him in the back. Frau Ugly taunts us some more and we cut to our trial, where we break out and kill all the Nazis in the area with absolutely no problems whatsoever. Just kidding, this section fucking sucks. It's the hardest part of the game, and it's a wave defense section, and it's not even actually happening. After the game finally decides we're done, we go to the judge's office and meet our mom, where we have a heartbreaking scene where we admit to her that we're not ready to die, and we're snapped back to reality that it was all just a dream. We didn't escape, and now we're gonna get executed. Frau Ugly taunts us and cuts off our head with a sword, which she does really poorly because it's a terrible execution weapon. Turns out all our friends grabbed our head before it was incinerated, and we become a Futurama head in a jar for a bit and find out that they've got us a genetically engineered test tube body to replace the one we no longer have, which is probably one of the most ridiculous plot devices to cure someone of organ failure I've ever seen. But it's Wolfenstein. It's honestly not that far out there considering all the bullshit that we've been through so far. Unfortunately, this means we no longer have the cool supersuit anymore, but we do have a permanent choker to show everyone that we're Sound of Music's bottom. But we all knew that already. Anya's definitely a top. She took care of him for 14 years while he was drooling in diapers, and then another 6 months while she was pregnant, and tried to rescue him twice. And then there's another bit at the end of the game, but we'll get to that. So now we head back to New York for a really short filler level, so we have an excuse to go to the next level. After smashing our way through some Nazis, we take an elevator to a hallway full of Nazis that aren't full of shotgun pellets. So we cure them of their ailment and borrow a piece of paper that tells us to head to New Orleans, or as the locals call it, Nolans, and take a bungee elevator to a helicopter, which we fly back to the submarine. Turns out one of the robots from the bungee elevator bummed a ride but didn't ask nicely, so we enforce our no hitchhikers policy on them and then head back to Sear to deliver the Nazi papers. Sear fills us in on the location of a Canadian convenience store, which is ironically located about as far away from Canada as you can get while still being in the US, and they tell us that they can't bring the U-boat close to shore because of a lot of landmines, so we head off to take a small sub instead. We interrupt formerly Rebel Wilson and Bomberman playing cowboy and get hand envy when we watch Piss Boy use his robot arm like a remote-controlled spider bot to cut off someone's head. After turning some Nazis into pancakes, we try our hand at Olympic diving and do some sightseeing and light remodeling. Anya admits to us that she's horny over an open channel that everyone else heard, and we catch up to Canadian convenience store, who introduces us to his friends, and we have a drunken debate about political differences before we pass out. Canadian convenience store introduces us to his dog, which we mount to become the German Shepherd of Fire, which we use to burn through the streets, turning Nazis into chicken nuggets. Unfortunately, the dog's too big to fit into the sewers, so we leave it to head back to shore. Turns out the submarine's on its way, somehow, even though they said it wouldn't be able to show up because the coast was too packed with mines, and it beaches itself because whoever's driving doesn't know shit about piloting a boat. After catching up to the boat with absolutely no problems whatsoever, they launch a nuke at shore to push us back out to sea, and we catch up with everyone and hatch a plan to audition for the role of ourselves in a Nazi biopic about Hitler defeating us in battle. It's on Venus. After arriving on Venus, we try to memorize our lines, and Hitler walks in to oversee our auditions, and Ronald Reagan accidentally insults him, and that's not me making a name up for this character, that's actually Ronald Reagan. He ends up getting shot by Hitler, which is actually probably the good ending for the United States. That means we never get the war on drugs in this universe. Hitler takes a piss in the middle of the room and throws up, and we make a fool of ourselves delivering our lines to Hitler, so he kills us, and we have to restart the section. And of course the game randomly breaks, even though I wasn't doing anything, because that's just what games do when I get my hands on them. Oh my god, it starts all the way from here?
Oh,
wait,
No.
There's a floating clipboard! She is not holding that clipboard! After delivering our lines correctly, we kick Hitler and fail the game's only QuickTime event before going apeshit on a Nazi, which impresses Hitler because he's a fucking dumbass. We head back to our room and put a hatchet straight through an armored helmet because we're just that fucking strong, and decided to reduce the population of Venus to 0.
So it started with
One thing. I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try.
Well, I need to look something up.
Is nitrogen stored in the balls?
No,
Yes.
no.
Yes.
Well, you don't trust me, Tali? How can you be a member of the cast if you don't trust me? Fucking what's the point of armor? It just goes away!
In 16th century Europe, the point of armor was to protect
Anthony?
individuals.
Anthony? Shut the fuck up. This is what I was supposed to have. Oh, it's the BFG that causes the game to fucking die.
Enjoy your VRAM, Will.
We hunt and peck our way to some secret codes and borrow a UFO, or, well, I guess it's an IFO because we know what it is, and fuck with a seagull until we're picked up by the submarine. Turns out it's our birthday, so we celebrate by getting drunk and doing drunk person things like falling over, riding pigs, and barfing. Pissboy is clearly not drunk enough if he can still fly this helicopter. Turns out Pissboy lost his arm at some point during the night, so we head off to collect it for him and to find out that he detached it after he groped a woman that he wanted to confess his love to. After getting everything in order, we listen to the plan to steal Frau Ugly's flying fortress, and formerly Rebel Wilson finally gets sick enough of Sears' bullshit to stand up to her, which impresses her enough to bring her along to the mission. We break into the flying fortress, and Anya lets us into the next area so we can take some alive Nazis and turn them into not alive Nazis. After disabling the Nazis' hearts and minds, we listen to some rantings left on the previous Wolfenstein video.
I will never forget the day they dropped the trailer for this game. It was on Xbox 360, about to play Halo Reach, and saw Bethesda had a new game coming out. The imagery was so shocking and powerful that it just dropped out of nowhere. I will never forget the part with the astronaut on the moon with a swastika flag. Things started making sense after that for a lot of people. The Nazis, the spies, why white supremacy terrorism isn't taken seriously in America. The fact that we went from bloodhounds to German shepherds after World War II. The Nazis did win. They couldn't win a war, so they resorted to spies that took over politically. The games are call to action that we must resist. Shit Like American Idiot by Green Day. Black Sabbath entire discography made sense. They assassinated John Lennon.
Just like total fucking nonsense comment. We catch back up to Anya but get ambushed by some Nazis, so she tactical slides past them and tosses some grenades, but her shirt catches on fire, so she disrobes and, while covered in blood, kills the remaining robot dog with her dual assault rifles. While pregnant. I told you Anya was a top. And now there's only one thing left to do: interrupt a late night talk show by murdering the guest on live TV. It's better than actually watching a late night talk show. We revoke Frau Ugly's arm privileges and break her head into more pieces than it's supposed to be, and listen to everyone give their freedom speeches to America, and that's the end of the game. Well, and there's a mid-credit scene of Fergus addressing Scotland. Game over. Special thanks to my patrons, whose continued support makes these videos possible. If you want to support the channel as well, patrons get a special avatar that goes at the end of the videos they help support, as well as early access to videos and full-res artwork from thumbnails.